Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of your Frederish Cast. My name's Gary, and here I am once again. And this is part two, ladies and gents, of the episode I started off last week about saving money. That's not the title, it is about personal finances, but it all summarizes. It all can be, this topic can be summarized with learning how to save money in a smart way, because it's not only about stocking money coins under the mattress as our great grandparents or even our grandparents or even in some cases our parents used to do, didn't they? So this is more than that, but saving is certainly a part of it. But just as usual, I am getting ahead of myself. I forgot to tell you to go grab your cup of coffee. Well, today, pretty warm, pretty hot Friday afternoon, so preferably a startling cold soda or water, preferably healthier. But as I say, whatever it takes for you to relax and join me in this conversation. It is always a big pleasure having you around. It's always a big happiness to know when I stop to think that you are not only making me company, that you are not only gifting me with your precious company, but more than that, you're making me a happier English teacher by knowing that you're practicing English, you're making progress. You know, if you can understand more than 80% of what we're saying, you're practically fluent in English, okay? Maybe you don't have a conversational level still as equal as your understanding, as the listening skills, but you're on your way to that. And if you don't understand, if you understand less than 80%, don't be sorry, okay? You're also on the way to fluency, okay? So it's a big happiness, guys. Let me just make this big shout out to all of you who have been listening to our episode here. And without our usual and already expected adieus, let's jump into it. The last topic of part one, aka the previous Frederish Cast English episode, was about never ever ever forgetting that you pay taxes, that we pay taxes, that all of us are paying or will inevitably pay one way or other taxes. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, and this has nothing to do with our current Secretary of Treasury. There are excellent memes related to the fact that he is, in fact, pushing it up in terms of taxation. Yeah, I think that that's indisputable. But it happens in all governments, okay? It happens in our governments. It's not a matter of A or B being our president. It's a matter of the way the state is, okay? And I go beyond, if you allow me. I'm not saying that paying taxes is something bad, because, well, there are good things, you know, when it comes to the state, to the security we have, which is pretty far from perfect, of course, or even pretty far from good, but is reasonably acceptable, you know. If you don't think so, look back in history. Look how people would feel 500 years ago. How common was it? Raping cases, brutal murders in the streets. I know we still have all of these things, but proportionally, the number has drastically decreased, okay? So there's a good side of government. There's a good side of paying taxes. I hate myself for having to say that out loud. But yeah, that's it. Don't just think, oh my gosh, I'll do everything possible to evade my money to, you know, there are possible ways, of course, but it's not worth, the shot at the end of the day, okay? So I ended up saying that on the previous episode, but if there is one indisputable benefit of paying taxes and paying taxes correctly, basically following the word of advice I put there in the last point of our previous episode, is that you kind of discipline yourself to save money, to save part of it. You go like, hey, this is the lion's, okay? This belongs to the lion. So you save that, or you put it in a fund where it keeps, keeps making little by little more money, and that's it. So you learn how to separate a piece that is not yours, okay? So if there is a good side of paying taxes, this is the good side of paying taxes. And that leads us finally to tip number 5. Learn to save money. First, because of tip 4. Second, because this is the only way to stop being poor. I'll repeat. Saving money is the only way to stop being poor. But don't get me wrong here, ladies and gentlemen. That doesn't mean that you have to live like a beggar. You have to say, hey, I'm gonna stop eating, or I'm gonna stop drinking water. That's more than ridiculous. That is more than absurd and ridiculous. That is irresponsible. Because, well, if your plan is to stop being poor, if there's one thing that you cannot lose, is your mental sanity. Okay? Of course, if someone tells me, hey, in order to have mental sanity, I need to live in a extravaganza, basically. I go like, hey, go see a doctor. Like there's something wrong with you. Of course, these things are good. Eating in expensive restaurants, buying expensive clothes. Spending money in expensive things usually makes us feel good. Spending money in general. I know, of course, I'm a human being. I'm not telling you to stop doing that. I'm just advising you basically to do that in a responsible way. Okay? And what is a responsible way to do that? Well, let me see if your memory is good enough. But one of the topics that I previously mentioned was put it all on a spreadsheet. Okay, on an Excel spreadsheet. So you have control of your expenses. Okay, and how, in a nutshell, how to have control of your expenses. It's not only about having control of your expenses, but also having control and awareness. Okay, being aware of how much comes in. Okay, how much money you make, how much money you earn monthly. Okay, and then you put the two things together: the expenses and the income. All right. That's 101, but it must be said. We all know that, but we don't take that seriously enough. I didn't. I know that. I know what I'm saying, guys. Don't feel like I'm disrespecting you or patronizing you in any level. I'm not. What I'm doing is I've been there, I've done that. Okay. So what it must be said here is, and that we all deep down we know that, but we don't take that seriously. We need to make more every month than we spend. Okay, I know it's not easy making more money. Okay, I'm not saying it's impossible. Okay, you should not try. You should totally try. That's another part. That's on the how to get rich episode. Okay, this is not how not to get poor. But truth of the matter is, there you must just sit and see the numbers and say, hey, how far can I go? I spend, for example, 100. Just one example, guys. If you're in Brazil, I know it's ridiculous, but just as to make calculations easy. Say you spend $100 monthly in supermarket. You should ask yourself, how far can I go? How far can I go? One of the things you could do is ask friends and people you trust. But most of the times, they don't have a control either, so that's not much of a help. But if you have a friend who is very, very controller of their personal finances, go after them, talk to them, say how much do you spend, compare your condition with them. For example, if you have kids, how many kids do you have? How many kids do the others have? The ones you're gonna contrast, And say, for example, you have this friend who, by kind of a miracle, writes down his expenses in and he turns and tell you, and he's got like a similar household, like he's married and you are married, he's got 2 kids and you've got 2 kids. Say he says, oh, I spend $80 monthly. Well, you have a horizon, you have a target, okay? I'm not saying this is the only way to set a target, but like you need to know how far you can go. And I'm not saying you to take food out of your kids' mouths. Of course, that's absurd. That doesn't make any sense. Or even yours, for Christ's sake. But take a look at the things, at the superfluous things you buy and the necessary things you buy, okay? And try to start cutting. Don't cut in the necessary things, but try and do your best to cut as much as you can in the superfluous things. If you can save it for the kids, but not to you. And most importantly than that, bear in mind that this is only temporary, okay? How long? Well, that will depend on the situation. Let's say a year. In 1 year is perfectly possible if you're focused, if you have a normal life. I'm not talking to someone who can barely survive here. If you can barely survive, this episode's totally not to you, of course. But I'll think about something that maybe can help you. But probably and most likely it's not your case, right? So if you're a quote-unquote normal person, you can do best than that. Don't just settle for the reality. Like, hey, that's it. I can do more than that. Unfortunately, that's it. Well, what a pity. No, don't accept that mentality, okay? Because that will only drag you to the hole. And the worst thing of being poor is that you get poorer and poorer every day. First, you don't have money. Second, you don't have mental sanity. And next thing you know, you're sick, and the list of negative things is countless. It's endless. So yeah, that's this point. All right, now we get to tip number 6. Invest in yourself. Learn things that will put money in your pockets. And as equally important, find things that you love to fill your free time. Okay, find things that you love to fill your free time. Okay, otherwise you will end up doing pointless or useless things just to be accepted. Okay, this is there's a psychological part of it, and there's a finances part of it, logic part of it. Okay, let's start with the psychological part of it. That is, about doing things, about not finding or finding things you love. Okay, what am I saying here? I'm talking about hobbies. I'm talking about hobbies there are hobbies that don't request much of your personal progress. Say, for example, I don't know, rooting for a soccer or football team, for example. That doesn't require much. There's nothing wrong with that, but that doesn't require you to be a better person, basically. So yeah. So this is the point here, okay? This is the point here. What I'm saying here basically is for you to find hobbies that will require you to learn something. Say, playing a musical instrument, piano, guitar, saxophone, the drums, you name it, you choose it. Or speaking new language, for example. Of course, that's probably what you're doing, right? And if you're doing that, you totally have a leg up. You totally have an advantage about stepping away from the poor zone, okay? From the poverty zone. So that's what I'm saying. You need to have as a personal focus to find healthy hobbies. Okay, nothing wrong with the hobbies that are not so healthy as the ones I mentioned, but you need to have like something that will keep requiring you to be a better and better person, and more than that, to sweat, quote unquote, or literally. Say, go to the gym, for example, exercise, sport. Of course, I forgot mentioning that, but it goes without saying. And this is it, okay? This is one thing. Because let me tell you the most important and the last clear part of this point. A person who does not have hobbies is a person that is prone to do, that is susceptible to follow the others, okay? And more than follow the others, follow bad people, okay? It's a person who does not have hobby tend to hang out with people who do not have hobbies either. And people who do not have hobbies tend to be bad people, okay? Or people that don't add anything to you. So, not, in my opinion, not worth your friendship or even your time or even your attention, you know? In a nutshell, the chances of you burning your money with useless things will increase if you don't have a hobby, and more than that, if you don't hang out with people who have hobbies, who have targets in life, objectives, not to mention the obvious things, the people that are good people, that are minimally decent, to have friendship, of course, that's obvious. But this kind of leads us to the next topic here, the next point. And the last point number 7, last point of this episode of all this series, divided into 2 episodes, how not to be poor, how to stop being poor, basically, is do not be friends with people who do not share your views, and especially who do not respect and believe in your dreams, okay? I was talking about not hanging out, not friending people who do not have hobbies. It's pretty much the same thing, okay? But here's different. It's worse, okay? If you want to hang out with people who do not have hobby for some reason, who am I to tell you who can or could or can or cannot be friends with you? That's totally up to you, all right? But what I'm saying here is that if someone does not believe in your dreams, do not share your views. When I say about share your views, I'm not talking about specific things like religion, you know, which is so personal, all right? Or even politics, okay? But the thing of the dreams of being a better person, the dreams, the target, the objective of not being a poor person, you know? If you're poor, you know that most poor people don't care about being poor. For them, it's not a problem. Okay, I'm not saying we're superior than them if we do not accept. There's no superiority, human superiority, of course. It's needless to say, even pointless to say, but now I'm saying. Anyways, but that's it. Some people who do not care about being poor are people who are probably going to be poor forever. Oh, what if they hit the lottery tomorrow? If they hit the lottery tomorrow, 2 years from now, they're poor again because they're going to burn the money. Simple like that. True story, happened thousands of times before, you know? So this is the point number 7, if you want to stop being poor. And this is it for today's episode. This is it for this series. I'm really eager to read your comments on the comment section below. And I catch you in the next episode. Bye.